In 3 3/4 miles, keep left, then exit right.
That's a woman. That looks like a woman doing it.
Not necessarily. Long-haired guy. Could be a woman. Women normally don't gun their bikes. Guys get off on hearing their pipes. They like to startle people. They like to creep up on you. Before you know they're there, they like to crack that throttle, make you pee your pants.
Keep left, then keep left.
Miles did we go total today? 200 and something? 260 or 80 or
320.
In 1 mile, keep left, then exit right.
Looks like they're out of service. In the greater San Francisco Bay Area now, we have over 9 million people, and I think every one of them is in front of me on the freeway. And we have a lot of multi-lane freeways, high speed, a lot of traffic. I swear every time I'm on the freeway, I'm sure there's 40,000 people ahead of me and 40,000 people behind. The problem occurs is when there's a empty lane next to you, and you start to move into that lane, and the guy on the other side of that lane, he's moving into the same lane. If you're side by side, a lot of the older vehicles, there's no side marker blinking lights to let each other know what's going on. Now, fortunately, some of the newer vehicles, even the new work trucks, have blinkers on the mirrors and whatnot. But the older ones like this one does not. On this truck, when I turn on my turn signal, this is all you see. No blinks. I got 3 lights lit up when my headlights are on like now, but nothing blinking, nothing at all. So let me show you what I did to fix that. Now this one, all I had to do was wire this one, move the ground to the turn wire on the front, and you'll get alternating blink like that. Now these did not blink, so I had to run a new wire, but you can't wire it to the back, because if you do, every time you step on the brakes, these will light up. So what has to happen, you have to run a wire from the blink circuit, from the front one, all the way to here and all the way to there. But anyway, that's what I did to make this thing safe. But it just amazes me how many trucks are out there like this, putting on a lot of miles, but no side markers. I think some of the most unsafe trucks out there, in my opinion, is UPS. They're great during the daytime, but I don't believe they have side marking lights. But at night, chocolate brown? What were they thinking? That's one reason I believe most work trucks are white, is for safety after dark. Plus, it's real easy just to add some graphics and put your name on it to make this truck look pretty good, pretty sharp. But so you don't need a fancy paint job, although a lot of companies do buy their trucks blue, black, red, green, orange, white, whatever. So let me show you what's up with my other vehicles. Now this Jeep here was exactly the same story. There's a side marker right here. Blink? No. However, this really isn't a side marker. It's just a reflector. But fortunately, I think it's just some oversight on the engineer's part, the taillight does seem to shine through there a little bit, but it's enough. But nothing blinks very much. So what I did down here, I added a side marker light down here. Now, you notice there's two. That's right. The forward one blinks while driving. The after one blinks while towing. They're on separate circuits. I had enough trouble figuring out how to get these things to blink on command. I didn't want to have to try to figure out how to make both circuits work with one light. Okay, so while you're driving, now my front one's illuminated, that's factory, and my little side marker is illuminated. Now what I'm looking for is these little Japanese cars that the young dudes get them, and they drop the things down real low and they're going 80 miles an hour. They'll weave it in and out of traffic, and then they'll get here in my blind spot. And I got one on the tail. So let me turn the side markers on. Flashers. Okay, so as you could see, I call this my belly lamp. It's flashing. My front one's flashing, and the back one flashes, although the back one doesn't flash all that bright. But so anybody get side by side with me and they start to come into this lane while I'm coming into this lane, they'll see my lights and get an idea what they're going. So if I miss noticing them making their motion, I can rest assured that they're going to see my lights, and they'll take appropriate reaction. Yeah, they might get mad and honk a horn, but they'll make a reaction and we'll avoid an accident. And the motorhome is worse than any of them. There's a blind spot along here that you could put a big work truck like mine into. So when you're trying to change lanes and somebody else sees you, there wasn't one thing on the side of this rig, 31 feet, and not one light blinked. So I had to make some modifications, and let me show you what I did. So as you can see, I have 5 lights along the length of this rig. Now it's flashing. So when I start to make my move, nobody has any doubt what my intentions are. Now this one here on the front corner did not blink. That's a simple matter of just changing the wiring. That lamp, like most corner lamps, just like the one on my Jeep, has 2 wires. Has a hot wire and a ground wire. What you do, you cut the ground wire and you find the wire going to your regular turn signal, which is this one. So you find the one that's blinking with your meter, and then you take your ground wire from here and you attach it to that wire. Easy as pie. And then it starts blinking. Now these I had to add, again, these are LED, and they were $5 a piece, and they're all just wired up, wired to that light. So I put one there, I put one here, another one there, and finally one here. And then of course I got my rear one. I'm not real fond of these lights. Someday I'll probably replace those with some kind of LED. There was another YouTuber had these, and he gets water inside of here. He had been getting water in, so he replaced this thing. There was a one that looks exactly like it, or very similar to it, that was LED, and he replaced. I noticed the manufacturer of this lamp sells this exact looking lamp with LEDs, but it turns out all they're doing is just putting LED bulbs in there, so it doesn't. What the whole idea was to get something on the back, something sealed, so if weather got in there, it wouldn't. But that didn't happen. Okay, so that's what we did there. Now, when driving after dark, all I had was that the front corner lamp was on steady. This one, and this one in the back. Originally, I tried to make these flash, but I couldn't gain access to the wiring. This goes into the wall, and there's styrofoam behind it, and then the wire just pulled through the styrofoam. It would be a nightmare. You'd have to open up the wall to gain access to the wire to do what I needed to do. So instead, I just replaced with these lights on the bottom. And another thing we did on our rig here, got a very nice mirror, got a very nice spot mirror. But what they didn't give me, and I added, was a side camera. So when I turn my right turn signal on, this thing lights up in my backup camera screen, and the left turn signal has the same. I have one on the left side, so that's really helped. And really, what I was looking, how I got this thing aimed, is somebody get right here alongside this tire, down low, below this mirror, kind of before. Actually, they could stick out in front of the vehicle a little bit before I could see them. And I measured, I backed this thing up, and I put a cone on the concrete, and I backed this thing up to where from the driver's seat, where I could just barely see the tip of the cone. And then I came out and I measured it. It was 17 feet. Believe that? So it's 17 feet you can hide. So that car, I think my Jeep's only 12 feet long. So you could almost completely fit without seeing it. So anyway, but that's what this is for. So that way we would pick up the rear of the vehicle and blind spots. We're just trying to hide blind spots. Gosh, look how long this thing is. So just trying to be safe, trying to get home in one piece without banging up our rig and not killing anybody. So now you can see what it's like when my turn signals are on for my headlights. So when I'm changing lanes on the freeway with 40,000 of my closest personal friends, and I start to move and there's somebody in the way, they'll see me and make allowances for my mistake and avoid an accident. Just simple lights, $20 worth of LED lights, a bunch of wire, and saved my life more than once. I don't recall having any trouble with that, with what we're talking about, two cars trying to share the same lane, but I have in my work truck for sure. But this has been my solution, and it's worked out quite a bit. If you're thinking about doing something like this yourself, with the LEDs, the way I told you to rewire that light on the front, that's an incandescent light. It won't work with an LED. What you have to do when it blinks, it's going to full power, you need a LED, not an LED, start over. You need a diode and a resistor. You look on the internet, and that's where I got my information. And there's lots of web pages showing you how to wire these things and make them do that. So when you're driving, they're at half voltage, and then when they blink, they're going full voltage. So they're only getting, say, 6 volts while you're driving down the highway, and they get the full 12 is what makes them blink. And that's all there is to it. It's easy enough, and you got to be safe, because I think motorhome drivers are probably the second worst drivers in the world, because we don't drive these each and every single day. I don't care if you've been driving one for 20 years, you've had motorhomes, you're still not as good a driver as, say, a professional bus driver, because he's been doing it for every day for a long time, and he has very good bus driving skills. And but just for motorhomers, it's just a matter, we just don't do it very often. Some of you folks who live in your rigs, you do drive a lot more than we do. We've only been taking this thing out 5 or 6 times a year, so we're not the greatest motorhome drivers there are, but we're learning. All right, folks, stay safe out there.